Welcome back to Greenhill Today. If you didn't watch the last episode, I'm Dhingra.
And I'm Herbert. And we don't have a lot of news this time. However, if you have seen our last episode, you might have heard that we have a Lee Hark interview in this next episode.
And thank you to all who submitted your questions. Some of them got very specific, kind of weird, but it was fine, and it was a really good interview. So that's coming up later on in the episode. Now we'll get right to news.
So last Tuesday, the 11th, Greenhill celebrated its 68th birthday, congratulating also the beginning of the Hark era and the era of bow ties.
Also, 9 Greenhill seniors received the honor of qualifying for National Merit semi-finalists.
Next up, sports news for you. This past Saturday, girls and boys cross country had their second meet of the season.
Boys got 11th.
And girls got first.
In their home opener, football lost to All Saints 14-3. The game was also cancelled due to weather halfway through. Last Tuesday, girls volleyball came back from a 2-0 deficit to beat Nolan Catholic High School 3-2.
And unfortunately, boys volleyball lost 3-1 to St. Mark's. Field hockey suffered a defeat to ESD 2-1 last week. That's it for sports. Next up is our Lee Hark interview.
So what are your favorite sports teams?
Favorite sports teams? So I grew up in Georgia, and so the Atlanta professional sports teams are among my favorites. So the Falcons for sure. I guess the Falcons were my first real sports love, and the Braves. I don't really follow professional basketball, although I will say Harrison Barnes being a former Carolina player, I do love the Mavericks. But my true sports teams love the Tar Heels, North Carolina.
And so you were a teacher before Herbert School, right?
I started as a teacher way back when in 1993, and I taught for 1 year essentially, and then every year after that I've kind of done different jobs. Like I was director of student activities, and I ran dorms and boarding schools, and I had to coach tennis, and then I was a dean of students, then I was an upper school director. I've taught all the way through though, so that's been a consistent part of my job.
What song did you jam to in high school?
What song did I jam to in high school? So a couple of my favorite songs in high school, I love like R.E.M. and New Order, The Cure, like those are bands that were sort of what they used to call college alternative music. And so my favorite songs back then were, Pretty in Pink by the Psychedelic Furs, or Just Like Heaven by The Cure. Those are two of my jams back in 1985, 6.
Okay. Actually, multiple students emailed me wanting to know the answer to this. Why do you like bow ties so much?
So it's funny, I've always worn bow ties, but it's never been an exclusive thing. And then I wore one a couple of times here to Greenhill, and people just started calling me the bow tie guy, or sort of attached that affectation to me, and I just never stopped.
Odd, but a couple of seniors found your high school yearbook.
I noticed that.
Yeah. And they found your senior quote. I'll just say at the beginning. Okay, this is Curious George. He lived in a zoo. He was a good little monkey. ...
Yeah.
So I guess they want to know why.
What that's about. So first of all, if they've seen my senior yearbook, and I would love to know where they found it, but if they've seen my senior yearbook, they would know that the quotes in there are pretty short. It's not like in independent schools where you have a whole page, or you can have these huge quotes. And so that's the beginning. It's an adapted quote from the beginning of the Curious George book, but I think it had to be like 14 words or fewer, right? And so I was trying to squeeze in something into a pretty short space. But I think, the part about it that I liked and that resonated with me back in 1989 was that curious part, the kind of rascally part, the insouciant part. I like that about, I was that way when I was 17, 18, and I still feel like I've got that 17-year-old inside me, but that's sort of where I was going with that. Yeah.
I think... Yeah, this is our last question.
Okay.
So a lot of students have actually watched your 5.6 million.
Yes, thank you for adding to the YouTube piece. Yeah.
So can you just tell us a little bit about it? Why did you make it?
Yeah, that was a crazy story. So we knew we were going to close. There was weather coming, a snowstorm, and my head of school, Michael Steiner, I remember he called me and said, you know, do you want to do a little video announcement for the weather closing? And I'm always game for stuff like that. And he said, I've got these lyrics that I've written to Ice Ice Baby, and we're gonna just rap this thing. And so we went through it once or twice, and then we turned on his little, you know, the whatever photo booth on his Mac, and we went through it maybe 2 or 3 times, and then we sent it out. And I remember, you know, we got some emails from students that thought it was funny or whatever, and then I got a call from the local news that night, and I called him, and we were just laughing hysterically that anyone outside of our school would care about it, think it was interesting or whatever. And we laughed and thought it was funny. And then the next day I woke up and it had over 1 million views. Like, it was literally overnight it became this thing that went around the world.
Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice is back and the roads will glisten. Polar vortex has a hold of us tightly. Wind like a harpoon daily and nightly.
Will the power stop?
Yo!
I don't know. Turn up the heat and let go. Sleep falling down like a million missiles, bringing school delays and early dismissals. Dance!
Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and be sure to tune in 2 weeks for the next episode of Greenhill Today.
With
That's
that,
a wrap.
we're done.